Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. I recently did a video reacting to a popular video from Business Insider featuring individuals who either stepped away from the workforce early or were forced away from the workforce prior to being financially prepared to do so. And in this video, I asked viewers to give their best financial advice that they would give to their younger selves. The advice was solid, but pretty predictable. Avoid high interest debt, unnecessary student loans, live within your means, and most importantly, start saving and investing early. I would say far and away, this was the most popular comment. Believe in the power of compounding and put your money to work as soon as humanly possible. And let's be honest, everyone already knows this. Wealth building is pretty simple. Spend less than you earn, invest the difference, and let compounding work its magic. It's pretty simple. It's not necessarily easy to do because in the process of doing it, we have to override our psychology every day telling us to do something different. And also, we have to keep doing it for decades on end. If saving is so simple, why do so many people struggle? The answer is that it's not strictly financial, it's psychological. In the process of doing so, we have to override our natural human instincts. So let's break down the mental barriers to building wealth and more importantly, how you can override them. The way we're wired is to prioritize immediate gratification rather than future benefits. This is simply human nature. It's called present bias, or if you want to get fancy, hyperbolic discounting. We have a strong emotional attachment to what we're experiencing right now, today. We don't have a strong emotional attachment to something that may or may not happen in 10 or 20 years' time down the road. In a lot of ways, this serves us, but in other ways, it works against us. And this isn't just theory, there's data to back it up. Studies show that 68% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even those earning six figures. This proves that the struggle to save is also behavioral, not just financial. And in some ways, our psychology serves us. In other ways, it works against us. For instance, if I put my hand on a hot stove and immediately remove it, that immediately makes me feel better. That's a good thing. However, if I forego saving entirely and spend my paycheck on things that bring me joy in the moment, in the long run, I'll have no money to enable myself to retire. That's going to work against me. This can show why saving and investing isn't the norm. Studies show that those who emotionally connect with their future selves save and invest more. Some ways to do this: write a letter to yourself, define clear financial goals, and define key milestones along the way. Studies have also shown that people who see an aged version of themselves become better at saving and investing for their future. This creates an emotional tie when you literally see what you could look like in the future. So maybe this is something worth doing as well. Another challenge, the lack of immediate feedback. If I decide to put $500 into my investment accounts, nothing really happens. This can make habits that are really good for us really hard to do because we lack that immediate feedback. If my goal is to build up $1 million net worth, I have to do a lot of work for a long time without any sort of feedback. If I put $500 into an investment account each month, maybe in 35 years' time, I'll have $1 million nest egg. 35 years is a long time to wait for a marker of success. It works the same way with fitness. Let's say you decide you want to get in shape. You start exercising every single day, you start eating healthy, and look at the scale in 2 weeks' time, and that scale has barely budged. You're putting in all this effort now without any sort of immediate feedback. You can rely on grit and motivation, or you can try to make it fun. I know it's becoming increasingly popular to try and gamify saving and investing. Maybe you challenge yourself to save a bit more and you hit this challenge amount and you feel good. You have this small win. Or I know a lot of people who look at their net worth as kind of a score in a game, and it can be fun to watch that score go up. This has been Warren Buffett's approach, and I think we can all agree it's worked quite well for him. I think the best approach is to find a way to make it fun. Maybe in the beginning, that means every time you hit $10,000 increments invested, maybe you celebrate somehow. With this kind of mindset, it can be really fun to track your net worth. Maybe every 6 months or every year, you sit down and you look at your net worth today. Compare that to a year ago or a handful of years ago. You can see how far you've come, and that can really help light the fire underneath you. And when in doubt, we need to make it as easy as possible. And this means removing any and all obstacles wherever possible, because what is easy to do is also easy not to do. While it's easy to save a couple $100s a month, it is also easy not to do this. 40% of workers don't enroll in an employer-sponsored retirement plan when enrollment is manual. Over 1/3 of workers simply default to the employer minimum investing rate. And importantly, 48% of Americans don't have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. And simply having access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan dramatically increase the odds that you will save for your future self. Consider that only 12% of Americans utilize an IRA or an individual retirement account. You have to push yourself to start saving, but if you're lucky, you only have to do this once. Maybe you force yourself to open a Roth IRA and you make your contributions automatic. You link it to your checking account, and every single month a set amount goes from your checking account right into your investment accounts. When you start with your employer, you should sit down and deliberately decide to enroll in your employer-sponsored retirement plan and deliberately choose how much you're investing with them. Then you can hopefully leave it on autopilot and let it just grow and invest for your future. Do it once and you can set yourself up for a lifetime of financial success. But remember, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. One of the biggest driving forces in determining your success is having a why. A strong why keeps you going when the going gets tough. I recently watched a video from CNBC about a gentleman who achieved financial independence and was able to retire at a very young age, in his 30s. And one of the key points of his interview that I thought was really interesting was how he talked about having different net worth goals at different stages of his career.
There definitely was a certain amount of money that I wanted to hit when I retired. Over the years that has changed. It started off in the low 1.5 million, then it got up to 5 million, then 20 million. And at some point I realized that with what I need in life, I settled on my number, which is around 4 million.
I feel like everyone starts out with that $1 million goal, but maybe as you start working, you reevaluate this number and you say, maybe I don't need $1 million, maybe I need less. Maybe $1 million doesn't buy as much as it used to. Maybe I need more. Maybe I need 5 million, 10 million. Maybe I need some other lofty number. And I think the important thing to keep in mind is that all of these numbers are pretty meaningless if they're not tied to your personal situation. That's why I loved how this gentleman took a moment to talk about the different numbers he had throughout his career and how he finally settled on the number that worked for him and the retirement that he wanted. This video is absolutely worth watching, and I will link it down below if you're interested in checking it out. This is where having a why comes into play. Why are you aiming at this specific target? It's important to have a number that has a purpose behind it, because if you don't have that, you can feel kind of aimless. And more important than the number itself is what it represents. Early retirement, travel, more time with family. What does this number mean for your life? And really, this comes down to working backwards, figuring out what your goals are in retirement and how much that's going to cost. Honestly, I refer to my why all the time. For instance, after 17 years of driving my beloved Jeep, I had to get a new car. And part of me thought, I've worked really hard and it's been 17 years. Maybe I should splurge and get a premium brand. But then I went back to my why. I still have financial goals I want to hit. And why am I buying a car? It's because I want safety for my son and I. So ultimately, I bought a Toyota Camry, and I feel like that was my bliss point. I spent the perfect amount to bring me the perfect and optimal amount of happiness. Had I spent any more on any other premium vehicle, I would have been sadder and I would have been poorer. So if you want to win with your finances, take the time to really envision your future self. Set a specific amount, whether that is 10, 15, or 20% or more of your paycheck today, and set it aside for your future. Create a clear vision of what you are saving for, what setting aside this amount of money is going to get you in the future. Make that future as real as possible so you have an emotional connection to it, so it feels real. This will make your savings journey that much easier. Building wealth is simple, but it's not easy. It takes making the right financial decisions for decades on end, but it's worth it. Living life on your own terms and having financial freedom, that's worth it. Think about yourself at 65 years old. Are you going to be thankful for all the decisions you made today to set your future self up for success? Or are you going to look back and wish you had done something different? I hope today you're making the decisions that will make your future self thankful for what you're doing. What are your thoughts? Share them in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. A little bit of a stutter. Let's try again. Sometimes focusing on the present moment does help. Sometimes it works against us. Did you hear the click? I don't know. It's a video worth watching if you haven't. I feel like I hit that. I'm so sorry. Don't say every single day, because you can make a few wrong decisions for decades on end. But it's worth it.